All right, just when we thought we were going to get through the NFL offseason without any more stories, as training camps across the league are beginning to open up, my Minnesota Vikings second-year wide receiver Jordan Addison arrested this past weekend on a suspicion of DUI. This comes less than a week removed from teammate Kyrie Jackson passing away in an alcohol-related fatality. The timing, the circumstances, all of this stuff could not be any worse, but let's just break down the story. So police received a report outside of LAX on Friday night that there was a car blocking traffic. They rolled up to the car and they found Addison asleep behind the wheel. They conducted an investigation. They then arrested him and charged him on a suspicion of DUI. He was then later released that night in LA. And this just comes at the absolute worst time for him and the Vikings. Addison cited last offseason before the start of his rookie year for driving 140 in a 55. So clearly Addison and cars do not go well together. Now, Addison is a young kid. He's 22 years old. Young kids do a lot of stupid stuff. They make a lot of terrible mistakes, but you have to be better than this. You already had the first screw up last offseason. You just had the tragedy happen to a teammate. Not to mention, offensive coordinator Wes Phillips also cited for a DUI this past season, and he got hit with that. So it's just a concurrence of awful decision making, bad timing all across the board, and it doesn't feel great for a guy like Addison. He was at his kids' camp the next day. This story took a couple of days to get out. He was at his kids' camp the next day and then posting about drinking mimosas and stuff like that. That's not good, man. Like, that's such a bonehead type move right there. Clearly, Addison is struggling to get it. He then did the prototypical delete all Vikings content off of his social media and remove any of that kind of stuff on there. He's clearly going through some stuff. I know the Vikings released a statement, said they're aware of the situation. They're conducting their investigation. I'm not sure if we're going to see Addison again in a Vikings uniform. I think the talent is going to overweigh the situation, but he's definitely going to get suspended this year, maybe next year, definitely. Sometimes the NFL takes a little bit longer. Like, they still haven't handed down the Rashee Rice stuff. It took Alvin Kamara a couple of years before he got his suspension. We're looking at 4 games. The last 2 players who have had a DUI, they got 4 games, got it knocked down to 3. So 3-game suspension most likely. There's a mandatory 1-game minimum. This is also Addison's second offense in just 2 years in the league with an issue off the field. Now, speeding, driving under the influence, 2 different things. I totally agree, but both reckless. And once you have that first screw up, the NFL tends to take these things much harsher, tends to be far more serious with all of this stuff going on. Now, I don't think Minnesota is going to do something drastic and cut Addison. They spent a first-round pick on him last year. His production on the field was really good. Arguably the best rookie wide receiver last year out of the first-round guys. Maybe you want to argue Zay Flowers. Everybody's got Puka Nacua over there, but he wasn't a first-round guy, so he had a really strong rookie campaign with massive turmoil over at the quarterback position. But this seriously needs to be a wake-up call for Addison, and maybe this is your final straw. Like, this is it. You get one more chance here in Minnesota, because Minnesota, surprisingly, has led the league in arrests since 2000. Now, we had a real screwed up period there in the early 2000s where we were the kind of all over the place, getting wacky over there, but it's just not a good look. It's awful situation, especially, like I said, Kyrie Jackson passing away in a horrible accident where the cause of the accident was due to a driver under the influence, it sounds like, and he had no control on that. It's just like, you gotta be better than this. You have to be smarter than this. Now, I don't know, man. I don't get why guys who have millions and millions of dollars make these kind of decisions, especially since you had the incident last offseason with you speeding. You had your opportunity. You got your first warning, like, hey, this is a wake-up call. You got to focus. You got to lock in. It's really disturbing and really upsetting to see how this thing's going. So expect Addison to be kind of quiet this, a training camp, quiet on socials. Hopefully he gets a serious kick in the pants, a wake-up call. Expect a mandatory suspension here. 3 games would be the safest bet. Now, Could it be a couple of while down the road? Maybe the NFL waits. I don't think there's much to this. I think it's going to be pretty cut and dry. Now, how fast the court system moves, how fast things move in LA, God knows. Maybe they drop the entire case because it's Los Angeles. You can't say for sure, but I could see the Vikings possibly handing down some punishment here because KOC tries to run a no-nonsense organization. They're getting too many guys that are too lax, I think, in Minnesota currently. They got to hold guys accountable. We talk about accountability all the time. So you got to hold guys accountable. Hopefully he learns from this. Like I said, he is just a 22-year-old kid. Kids make horrible, dumb decisions all the time. And when you have more money than you know what to do with, things get even worse and you make even worse decisions. So as we head into training camp, probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, the final story of the NFL offseason. It was a busy, hectic offseason. Him, Rashee Rice, hanging out, not great. I'm just, making that joke there. It's a tough situation all around in Minnesota. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Does Addison get a longer suspension? Is he going to play for the Vikings again? Do they just cut ties with him? Overall, I want to know what you guys think. If you haven't already, drop a quick like on this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We got new sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, sign up for a channel membership. Help support me, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.